Milagre School, and Tracy Spencer, who is one of our teachers, is also here with me. Tracy's going to help me with changing the slides, and hopefully our technology collaborates. So we're really excited to come talk to you. Basically, Tracy and I can talk about autism for about 4.5 days straight. We have 20 minutes. So this is obviously a very brief overview, and I definitely encourage people to get more information. But we're going to try to talk a little bit about what autism is and what it's not. Give a couple of examples of what people with autism, how they explain their lives, really talk about autism awareness, and because we're celebrating Autism Awareness Month in April, and then tell you a very small amount about the Milagre School, which we would love to talk more about at a later point. So my question first is, they may sound ridiculous, how many of you before today have heard of autism? All right, most hands. How many people have met someone with autism? Still a lot of hands. Today, 2013, that might sound ridiculous. When I graduated from high school, when I first got involved working with students with special needs, I had never heard of autism before. You might be surprised that's not all that long ago. The prevalence of autism has really increased, so therefore, the more we hear about autism in pop culture, videos like you just saw, characters in pop culture who are based around a description of people on the autism spectrum, all are more relevant. So a lot of you have heard of autism because it's happening so much more. So it's really important more now than ever that we have Autism Awareness Month and that people learn more and more of what autism is and what it's not. Okay, how do I change this? All right, better than I thought. If you search the internet for what is autism, you'll find about 452 definitions. The important things to note are, you'll see in all the slides that we talk about autism spectrum disorder, and it's because autism really covers a whole wide explanation of our profiles as individuals. And basically what happens is there are certain characteristics that are that kind of add up to an autism diagnosis, and that's how we say that people get a diagnosis on the spectrum. There are a number of different disabilities or different syndromes that fall along the spectrum, and that's changing every day. Part of the reason for this is because there is no cause of autism. There are a lot of hypotheses, and there are research supporting and refuting a lot of those hypotheses, but we don't know exactly what causes autism. Along the same lines, there is no quote-unquote cure for autism. If people get early, good intervention, or sometimes just by having a really supportive community that can help with learning different behaviors, you might not show the symptoms or some of the characteristics to add up to a diagnosis, but right now there's not a cure. So a lot of the individuals with autism are dealing with a lifelong, it's part of them at this point, and there's no cure, medication, something like that. It's not a disease, is pretty much what it comes down to. But the characteristics can be very intense and severe or very mild. And the important thing we really want to get across today is no one person, no two people with autism are the same, just like no way are Tracy and I exactly the same or any of you in this room. Everybody's unique and different. So walking through the mall or down the street, you might not, you wouldn't say that person has autism. Some of the characteristics, for a very long time, they talked about 3 pillars of autism, which were difficulties with social interaction, communication, and rigidity. And what happens is all of the characteristics make sense. People with autism a lot of times have trouble communicating, trouble understanding what people are asking of them, and trouble getting their wants and needs across. Along the same lines, then, imagine if you have trouble communicating, and you would probably have difficulty with social interactions, or maybe not see the importance of social interactions. And then, also, if you couldn't get your wants and needs across, you'd probably do some things that you wouldn't necessarily do now. And part of what we see as well is engaging in sometimes repetitive behaviors or different things that show kind of frustration. So if you couldn't get the things you wanted met or the things you needed met, you might do some things that that you wouldn't necessarily do now. Another thing that we've gotten to learn in the past, or in the more recent past, is that people with autism have now been able to share what they think is different kind of for them. So there have been many, many, many different ways that people kind of describe autism. One of the things that you see a lot is that they have problems, a lot of people have noted trouble with sensory input. So things they see are more intense, things they hear are more intense, they feel more intense. And kind of what people talk about is processing these senses is difficult. So the next slide is a video of kind of what one person's description of walking down the street having autism is. If you are sensitive to loud sounds and noises, I would recommend just kind of step out for a second, because the second half of the video does get